and 4/5 seconds. At Ak-sar-ben in Omaha, the Board of Governors handicap, these are 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile and a 16th, worth a little more than $50,000. Let's look at the call now of the Board of Governors handicap from Ak-sar-ben.
6 furlongs run in 1:10 and 1/5 seconds with Straight Flow, the leader, up on blowing by on the outside. Agape-Mu is next, followed along the rail by Comet Cat as they turn into the stretch. That is Espro taking command. Along the inside, it's Comet Cat moving to second, followed by Straight Flow and Agape-Mu. That is Espro with the lead. Comet Cat running second. It is Espro in front. Comet Cat coming along the inside. Espro and Comet Cat at the wire.
And Espro, the favorite, was the winner. He's a 5-year-old, ridden by Ronnie Franklin, trained by Bud Delp, who had a very good meeting at Ak-sar-ben, and a good victory for Espro. Comet Cat second, Vodka Collins is third. The time 1:43 and 4/5 seconds for the mile and a 16th. Also
in baseball, the New York Yankees beat the Kansas City Royals 4-3, but only after an umpire disallowed a home run by George Brett. We pick up action in the 4th inning with the score tied at 1-all. Frank White smashes a shot that Craig Nettles couldn't handle. The hit gave the Royals a 2-1 lead. It was 3-1 Kansas City in the 6th when the Yankees got their revenge. Don Baylor bangs a triple to the wall, and the game is all tied up at 3-all. Dave Winfield came up next and promptly singled sharply past third base, scoring Baylor. The Yankees lead 4-3. Then in the 9th, with 2 out and a Royal on base, George Brett hit an apparent home run off Goose Gossage, but the Yankees claimed that Brett's bat was covered with pine tar above the allowed 18-inch mark. The umpires ruled the bat illegal. The home run was nullified. Brett stormed out of the dugout like a man possessed. He had to be restrained by Kansas City manager Dick Hauser. Despite his protest, the Yankees won the game 4-3. What a wild finish. Elsewhere in the American League, the jockey was injured in a racing accident in West Virginia. Today, more than 250 people attended a benefit dinner at the Sons of Italy for La Rocca. The 21-year-old Fremont jockey had his legs paralyzed in the accident. La Rocca is now able to move around on crutches. He is still receiving therapy at an Emmanuel Hospital. La Rocca was the leading apprentice jockey at Ak-sar-ben last year. La Rocca is just one of 30 paraplegic jockeys who were injured during 1982. Right after Sports Extra will be Ak-sar-ben 83, The Great Races. Join Bob Cullinan and Terry Wallace for a look at yesterday's controversial win by brindy in the Ak-sar-ben Oaks, and a preview of this Saturday's big race, the Cornhusker Handicap. Coming up next, a look at Omaha's own fan club for the Chicago Cubs.
Sports Extra has been brought to you tonight by Light Beer from Miller. Ak-sar-ben 83, The Great Races, is brought to you in part by House of Genji, House of Cafe, Hole & Smith Horse Vans, and Brandeis Food Management.
Good evening again, and welcome to Ak-sar-ben 83, The Great Races. I'm Bob Cullinan.
And I'm Terry Wallace. This evening we're coming to you from the popular new Cornhusker Room here at Ak-sar-ben. Especially popular the last couple of weeks because it happens to be one of the air-conditioned spots. And, of course, we've had some very hot weather here recently, Bob.
Terry, some hot weather and some very hot races. Yesterday, the richest race of the year for fillies, the Ak-sar-ben Oaks. We'll have highlights and a recap of that race. Also, we'll talk to jockey Ronnie Franklin and pony girl Terry Hess.
We're going to be investigating the Nebraska Thoroughbred Development Fund during the course of the show this evening, and also be studying some more about the equipment horses use at the track.
All that and more coming up next on Ak-sar-ben 83, The Great Races. Stay with us.
When a company gets bigger, it experiences growing pains. The pain of throwing out communications equipment that's suddenly obsolete. The pain of buying new equipment to replace it. Fortunately, there is Centron, the only communication system you'll ever need, because Centron service will grow as you grow, simply, inexpensively.
Hello, George.
Centron Communication System. Growth without the growing pains. Centron from Northwestern Bell.
One of the things that make the Ak-sar-ben races so much fun are the fabulous places to enjoy your favorite food. Whether you order a tasty charbroiled hamburger or kielbasi in the Oak Barrel Saloon, Mexican specialties in the Comida Caliente, or a giant ham or roast beef sandwich in the East Lawn Lounge, it's the kind of food you just can't find at other sporting events. If you haven't been to Ak-sar-ben yet in '83, find out why the food, not just the races, are
now better than ever.
Cafe, the ancient name of China. House of Cafe, Chinese restaurant, serving traditional Oriental dishes. Exotic House of Cafe specialties. Cocktail in the Marco Polo Lounge. Fine dining in the Oriental tradition. House of Cafe, Chinese restaurant, 8809 West Dodge. Food before con.
Yesterday here at Ak-sar-ben, the richest race of the season for 3-year-old fillies, the $100,000 added Ak-sar-ben Oaks. Terry has the highlights.
Yesterday afternoon at Ak-sar-ben, a crowd of over 21,000 gathered to watch the Ak-sar-ben Oaks, the 3-year-old filly championship here at Ak-sar-ben. $108,900 at stake, with the winner to get just under $60,000. A field of 7 from all over America gathered for the mile and an eighth race. And from the outset, it was the speedy filly Brindy, who had won the Fantasy Stakes at Oaklawn Park in wire-to-wire fashion, once again making the lead under Kenny Jones. She held a clear lead in the run down the backstretch as My Dear Lady chased her. And then moving on to the final turn, it was the New York Invader Halo Dottie and the Californian Holiday Answer on the outside that moved up. Then, as they reached the head of the stretch, Brindy bore out toward the middle of the racetrack. The other two followed her to the outside. It was this that created an incident, and then as they raced through the rest of the stretch, Brindy held on to her win. Brindy heads apart for the lead. Holiday Answer is third. Driving for the wire, that's Brindy with the lead. Halo Dottie second. Brindy and Halo Dottie at the wire. At the wire, Brindy will win it by a length and a half. Halo Dottie running second, and Holiday. Following the race, the inquiry sign was lighted immediately, the stewards looking into the incident at the head of the stretch. There was a lot of concern amongst the Jack Van Berg folks who were there with Brindy, and they were all very excited when finally the moment came that the stewards decided not to alter the original order of finish. The incident at the head of the stretch, in slow motion as we see Brindy bearing out toward the middle. It was the judgment of the stewards that there was no contact made, and she had established ground, and therefore they did not decide to reverse the order of finish. Trainer Jack Van Berg commented on such an incident in a race.
Well, it's one of those things. You hate to win one of them races and they have the number taken down. The filly come out a little bit, but I don't think it made any difference in the outcome of the race. She went on and opened up on the filly after she come out. But, you know, if you're finished second in the race and you claim foul, you think you should have got it. If you win, you don't want it to get them down. So, you know, there's two sides to every story, and I don't think she bothered the filly enough. If she wouldn't have went on and won by nose, then it could have been, but she went on and opened up after they come to her.
For this year, it's Brindy that in the Ak-sar-ben Oaks, a filly lightly raced, but one with a great future. One of the new faces at the track this year has been jockey Ronnie Franklin. His life has been embroiled in controversy over the past couple of years, and Bob Cullinan took some time to speak with Ronnie.
The horse is Spectacular Bid, and the jockey is an unknown named Ronnie Franklin. Spectacular Bid would go on to win the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and earn the honor as Horse of the Year in 1980. Ronnie Franklin would go on to a career laced with problems both on and off the track. Shortly after his fantastic year in 1980, Ronnie was all but absent from the racetrack. Problems with drugs and conflicts with trainer Bud Delp almost ended his life as a jockey. But now Ronnie Franklin has returned. Looking back, he says the success may have been too much too soon for him to handle.
Yes, it was, all of it. I was just too inexperienced to ride a horse of that caliber. I was riding when I had my bug, and I just lost my bug, and I was still riding them, and heck, I couldn't take it with the older riders, the more experienced riders, you know.
Now, I know you've had some personal problems, and you've really rebounded from those. What was it inside of you that had kept you going and got you back up to where you are now?
I think a lot of willpower, and I had some help from the Lord.
Ronnie is rebuilding his career along with the help of Bud Delp. This combination has scored big victories at Ak-sar-ben this year with Timeless Native in the Omaha Gold Cup and Aspro in the Board of Governors Handicapped. Ronnie says he doesn't feel any pressure riding the big races at Ak-sar-ben.
No pressure at all. It's because I rode Spectacular Bid. Now that's pressure. When you ride a horse that good, that's pressure.
Franklin, Delp, and Aspro have one big race left, Saturday's Cornhusker Handicap. And Ronnie says his horse will win it.
Well, I'm very confident. This horse loves this racetrack, and he's still doing great, and I think they got him to beat.
As for the future, Ronnie says he would like to do more riding at Ak-sar-ben, and in the back of his mind, there is still the goal of riding another super horse in another Preakness. Do you want to run in the Derby, in the Preakness again?
Yes, I do. I want to ride them races again.
Do you think Bud has some horses down the line that may be contenders?
He sure does. He's got about 8 Spectacular Bid babies coming up next year, and we hope they can run a little bit.
Coming up next, I'll talk with pony girl and nurse Terry Hess, and we'll learn more about some of the equipment used on thoroughbred racehorses. Stay with us.
When they absolutely, positively have to be there by post time, who do you call? Hull and Smith Horse Vans. Thoroughbred horse transportation anywhere in the country. Safe, reliable service guaranteed. Hull and Smith Horse Vans have the capacity to comfortably haul up to 15 head per trailer. So when your horses absolutely, positively have to be there by post time, call Hull and Smith Horse Vans, Ashland, Nebraska. In Omaha, dial 332-4851. A service for horsemen, by horsemen. One of the things that make the Ak-sar-ben races so much fun are the fabulous places to enjoy your favorite food. Whether you order a tasty charbroiled hamburger or kielbasa in the Oak Barrel Saloon, Mexican specialties in the Comida Caliente, or a giant ham or roast beef sandwich in the East Lawn Lounge, it's the kind of food you just can't find at other sporting events. If you haven't been to Ak-sar-ben yet in '83, find out why the food, not just the races, are
now better than ever.
House of Genji, House of Cafe, a dining experience in the Oriental tradition.
When Shamtastic won the President's Cup 8 days ago, there was the usual celebration in the winner's circle. The horse was there, the jockey was there, the trainer was there, and of course, the owner was there. And so was Terry Hess. Now, you say you don't know Terry Hess? Well, you should. Race fans see her all the time. Every afternoon, Terry parades in front of the Ak-sar-ben crowd, doing her job as a pony girl. Terry parades the horses in the afternoon and helps with the workouts in the morning.
I start out like at 4:30 in the morning. I get here about 5, and I clean a couple stalls first. And then I tack my horses up, 2 of them, in the mornings. And head over and check with my first stable. You pony for different trainers. And whoever you work for, then every morning you have to check with that person to see what they might have for you to take. And you start out, and if you have something to pony, that's when you ride your horse that you have, and you lead the racehorse around the racetrack. And you go from there. If you might have to go with the gallop boy if they're going to gallop. They've got one they can't hold back real well. You can go with them, and you have a strap that you put through the racehorse's bit. Through the bridle, and you hold on like that, and then you can help the boy control the horse.
After the morning work, Terry track in the afternoon.
They call for the first race at 3:30, and you have to go get your horse and make sure he's over in the paddock by like 20 till 4. And so you get here about 3 at least. And then, you know, saddle up, and by the time you ride over to your barn, then it's time for them to call the race. And depending on what races you have. Usually I'm in the last, and they don't run the last race until around 7:45. And then by the time they run that race, then you come back over here, you have my horse. I have to put medicine on his legs, do him up, and feed all my horses, and you don't get out here till 9 or 9 o'clock usually.
But Terry Hess leads a double life. 2 weekends a month, she's a nurse at Lincoln General Hospital. making her already busy schedule even busier. On some days you may work from 4:30 until 11 here, drive to Lincoln, then work another shift.
Right. That's not just, I do that on Sundays though, so it isn't that bad when if I don't have to pony that morning. But still, then I would go to the hospital and I work 3 to 11. Well, it's 11:30. Usually you might be able to get out of there then by midnight, depending on what kind of a night you've had. Then I drive back here and then start again at 4:30.
You don't really go to sleep then, do you?
Oh yeah, a couple hours.
Do you ever find your nursing skills are needed out here at the track? Have you ever had an occasion to use that skill?
Oh, I don't know. I get kind of excited, like if the jockey, they have trouble in the gate and the jockey would come off, you know, then I go over there and I want to help, you know, things like that. I find it comes in handy then. And then also anything that might be wrong with my horse, my vet can tell me what it might have to do, you know, kind of associate it with a human being. And then I can understand, like, what's going on with my horse, too, whenever he might be ill or...
Nursing is still Terry's long-term career, but she still gets a big thrill out of working the horse races, especially the big races. Do you get up more for the big races? Say you work a Gold Cup?
Yes, I did work the Gold Cup. It thrilled me. And other people just say it's just another race, but it wasn't to me. It wasn't at all, and my horse ran second, and I was just really thrilled.
What's the feeling like when you're out there in front of 30,000 people and you've got the big money horse? Do you feel an added sense of responsibility?
I feel an added sense of responsibility more to the trainer and the jockey, not to the people, you know.
How long do you want to keep doing this, do you think?
Oh, a couple more years. I just do this meet the summer, so it's 4 months out of the year, and that's enough. I always showed horses, and I was going to horse shows, and I belonged to a saddle club in Lincoln. And I was at a horse show one Sunday, and this girl said, well, the horse races are coming to the fairgrounds, and you should go out there and see if you can get a job. And so I did the next day, and I started walking horses. And then I went from there to groom and went on up.
Do you do it for the money, or do you do it for the experience?
Well, I got the experience now. You know, you learn something new every day. But the money's good, but you have a lot of expenses. And I like it just because it gives me something to do with my horses that they pay their own way.
In our last show, we showed you the elements of the horse changing leads and the technique involved. This time we're looking at some of the tools applied by the humans, trainers and jockeys, to get maximum performance from the horses. At the barn of top Nebraska trainer T.V. Smith, we asked about the control of the racehorse coming through its mouth. T.V., how's the actual placing of the bridle and bit done?
Well, with the assistance of my good horse Royal here, we'll show you that the bit fits into the mouth, and he has a set of teeth in front, Terry, that are his biting teeth. And he has a set of teeth back up in here who are his grinding teeth, his molars. The bit sits behind the biting teeth and in front of the molars' teeth. And the bit should sit comfortably in the mouth so you have some slack and the horse, and then you have your control with your horse. Basic bit that most horses run with is what we call a snaffle D bit. And you can see the D there and the snaffle where the bit breaks in the middle. And that's the 90% of your horses will run with this kind of bridle. There's different variations of it, but as I have another one here that I use on my younger horses is a snaffle D bit, but it's rubber, and it's a softer and more gentle on their mouth to where you don't have to take such a severe hold of a young baby's, well, a 2-year-old's mouth. You don't get as near as severe with this kind of bit. We have another bridle that we use, and it's the same basic principle, the snaffle in the middle with a ring. This gives you more control on a horse, such as a horse is a little hard to guide in a race. This fits into his mouth. This takes a little more severe hold than a regular snaffle bit, and it gives the jockey more control over the horse's head.
Is there some sort of a check that can be made for horses, for instance, that bear out?
Oh, yes, several. They use the basic bits a lot of time, and they'll put a burr on it, a little leather attachment that has prickly hairs on the inside of it. And you can put that on a horse on the outside of the bit if he's trying to get out during a race. If you have a horse that's bearing in down the last part of the race, they can put it on the inside of the bit. They also have a cage bit that we call a cage bit that slides through the mouth and has very severe effects on a horse's head. And then they have overcheck bit, which is for a real roguish type horse who may be real heavy-headed, that wants to lay his head right on the ground and run, where a rider has to keep picking up his head. So there are several bits. The more severe ones are used for the very rare cases where the horses are having a lot of problems being controlled. Getting back, it's the usually basic type bit that's used.
Anything else now you use a horse's mouth or head to help control them?
Right. We have aids that go along with the bridles and the bit, such as a horse who runs with his mouth wide open. We can put a noseband on him. And this fits above the bit, around the horse's nose, and you can tighten this up, and all it does is keep the horse from opening his mouth so he doesn't run with his mouth wide open.
Now, one other problem with horses opening their mouths, and we see it from time to time, is what we understand is swallowing their tongue and a tongue tie.
Right.
Explain that for us.
Well, usually we use a piece of gauze or a strap of cloth, and this is simply, if you can picture my hand being the horse's tongue, we wrap it around the tongue and tie it beneath the jaw of the horse, lower jaw of the horse. This, it holds the tongue. You want the tongue underneath the bit. The bit will fit over the top of the horse's tongue. Some horses, when they're racing, will bring their tongue back and bring it over the top of the tongue, and then they are hard to control. So you keep their tongue underneath the bit. So horses who have a tendency to not keep their tongue in the right place, you can tie it down, and this is the way we do that.
As in all skilled sports, the proper tools of the trade are crucial to optimum performance. Proper application of those tools, such as the bridle, bit, tongue tie, and others, don't remove all the variables, but they do aid in giving you the best run for your money. Nebraska breds make up a large segment of the horses that run throughout the entire Nebraska racing circuit, and we'll learn more about Nebraska breeding and the Thoroughbred Development Fund when Ak-sar-ben 83 continues.
When a company gets bigger, it experiences growing pains. The pain of throwing out communications equipment that's suddenly obsolete. The pain of buying new equipment to replace it. Fortunately, there is Centron, the only communication system you'll ever need, because Centron service will grow as you grow, simply, inexpensively.
Hello, George.
Centron Communication System. Growth without the growing pains. Centron, from Northwestern Bell.
Hi, Jeannie. Can I borrow your detergent and your fabric softener? Go Solo. Go who? Solo. The liquid detergent that cleans and softens. Come on.
Dirt and mud mat down fibers. Solo cleans fibers, lifts them up, releases deep down dirt. And Solo softens so fibers feel cushy.
Overalls came clean. Deep down clean. The sweatshirt is so soft. Fluffed up soft. Catch this out. No static cling.
Go Solo.
When they absolutely, positively have to be there by post time, who do you call? Hole & Smith Horse Vans. Thoroughbred horse transportation anywhere in the country. Safe, reliable service guaranteed. Hole & Smith Horse Vans have the capacity to comfortably haul up to 15 head per trailer. So when your horses absolutely, positively have to be there by post time, call Hole & Smith Horsemen by Horsemen.
Cafe, the ancient name of China. House of Cafe, Chinese restaurant, serving traditional Oriental dishes. Exotic House of Cafe specialty. Cocktail in the Marco Polo round. Fine dining in the Oriental tradition. House of Cafe, Chinese restaurant, 8809 West Dodge. Food before con.
Each day on the racing program, there are a number of races which carry a designation indicating that the purse of the race either includes or is augmented by the NTBDF. The NTBDF stands for the Nebraska Thoroughbred Breeders Development Fund, a source of money established by the Nebraska legislature in 1983. That source is generated by a 1% takeout of all money wagered on daily double and exactas in the state. Estimates suggest that this fund will provide $225,000, which will supplement purses for Nebraska bred races in 1983, and an additional $180,000, which will be available to Nebraska-bred horses, which are eligible to share in the purse in certain specified open races. To owner-breeder Johnny Rohrbaugh, this fund provides an opportunity to make ends meet, which didn't exist before, and seems to have had an effect on the anxiety of interested customers for Nebraska-bred horses.
Oh, yeah, I think definitely. I think it's made a big difference along with the more racing dates, especially at Ak-sar-ben. It gives you a chance for your state breds to get into more races and actually make the racing a little bit more beneficial for you because you can race the horses more times.
In his role as the manager of the new Regency Training Center, a facility he's renovating at Bennington, Nebraska, Rohrbaugh sees the other side of the racing game, getting the horses actually ready to race or providing a comfortable R&R situation.
Very definitely. We had been sending a lot of our horses to Florida and different places like that to be trained, and we feel like that with the facilities here we can do the same job here and have our own personal overlook of the training program.
The health of the Nebraska racing circuit depends a great deal on new blood and new financial resources like any business. The enactment of the legislation setting up the Nebraska Thoroughbred Breeders Development Fund has been a big step forward. It has contributed to sustaining the already existing facilities and inspired investments in new action such as the Regency Training Center. That action seeming to indicate that with the development fund, Nebraska has committed itself to being bullish on racing. Since our trip to Regency Training Center, Rohrbaugh has already reaped some of the rewards of the Nebraska program with his runners. On Friday afternoon, Johnny enjoyed the 23rd running of the Lassie Stakes for 2-year-old Nebraska-bred fillies at 5.5 furlongs. His classy filly, Sunday Sweet Times, a daughter of the former champion Olden Times, put away repeated challenges and then held off the gallant Genuine Jazz to score her 3rd consecutive victory. Nancy Come Home card action, and the trailer is 4-way risk. Down the back stretch, Sunday Sweet Time and As a Jewel dueling for the lead, a gap of 3. Shelley Bow is 3rd. Make that distinctable now 3rd. Genuine Jazz running 4th. Shelley Bow is 5th. Sunroof running 6th. Nancy Come Home is 7th. 4-way risk 8th. Shelley Stride is 9th, and the trailer is card action. Nearing the head of the stretch, the leader, Sunday Sweet Times. Here comes Genuine Jazz on the outside. Distinctable is now 3rd. As a Jewel is 4th. Nancy Come Home moving up 5th as they turn into the lane. That is Sunday Sweet Time leading it by 3/4. Genuine Jazz is 2nd. Distinctable running 3rd. Driving for the wire, it's Sunday Sweet Time now reopening the lead to a 1.5 with Genuine Jazz 2nd. Sunday Sweet Time and Genuine Jazz coming back on now as they near the wire. At the wire, these two game fillies. It's Sunday Sweet Time winning in the neck. Genuine Jazz. Sunday Sweet Time's dam, Sunday Sonnet, had also won the Lassie Stakes, and the victory on Friday virtually assures that Rohrbaugh's filly will be named the top 2-year-old state-bred filly this year. Only some rather spectacular late developments could keep her from the title, which represents excellence in Nebraska breeding.
Coming up next, we'll preview the highlight of the Ak-sar-ben season, the Cornhusker Handicap, when we come back.
It's been a long time coming, growing, multiplying from roots firmly planted in Omaha. But Richmond Gordon's whole new concept in shopping has landed to become even more a part of your life. Richmond Gordon's store of the future at 132nd and Center has grand opening savings in every brand new department on the brand names you want most. Come in and see, come in and save. Richmond Gordon's grand opening at 132nd and Center.
When they absolutely, positively have to be there by post time, who do you call? Hull & Smith Horse Vans. Thoroughbred horse transportation anywhere in the country. Safe, reliable service guaranteed. Hull & Smith Horse Vans have the capacity to comfortably haul up to 15 head per trailer. So when your horses absolutely, positively have to be there by post time, call Hull & Smith Horse Vans, Ashland, Nebraska. In Omaha, dial 332-4851. A service for horsemen, by horsemen. Ak-sar-ben for 83, now better than ever, with fresh hot pizza made right here, available on the west end of the grandstand concourse. Or enjoy the races in the air-conditioned comfort of the new Cornhusker Room, featuring exotic cocktails and the fabulous Ak-rib sandwich. And on those hot summer days, nothing could be better than a refreshing cone or sundae from the new ice cream parlor and the paddock buffet on the lower level. Ak-sar-ben and Brandeis Food Management.
Now better than ever.
It's the New York Philharmonic, America's oldest and best-known orchestra, making its Omaha debut performance at the Orpheum Theater Monday, July 25th. Conducted by Zubin Mehta, this world-renowned orchestra will perform a program of Mozart and Mahler. Presented by Performing Artists Omaha, tickets for this premiere performance are available at Brandeis, Civic Auditorium, TIX, and PAO. Call 344-8913 today while good seats are still available.
The Cornhusker Handicap and the trophy that symbolizes it. The premier prizes during the 1983 season at Ak-sar-ben and every year for that matter. The Cornhusker is a 1 1/8 race, this year with a purse of $150,000 added. It is a Grade 2 stakes race, making it one of the top graded stakes in the country. And the field that will be in the Cornhusker Handicap this year mirrors the quality of the race itself. We're looking for one of the most important races ever at Ak-sar-ben, since we're expecting the great mare Bersid to take on male rivals in the Cornhusker. It's the only race left for her before the Queen's Handicap late in August, and it'll be her first opportunity to race against colts here at Ak-sar-ben. Also in the field, we're looking for Aspro, that fine gray colt who made a big move on the turn in the Board of Governors Handicap here recently, and then had enough left to hold off the great Comet Cat in the stretch run and score his win. He represents trainer Bud Delp and jockey Ronnie Franklin, who we saw earlier, and Aspro will be one of the key figures in the Cornhusker Handicap field. Look also for Vodka Collins, a horse who's won over $500,000 and been one of the top handicap horses throughout the Midwest. And a recent arrival on the grounds, but one who we saw here last year, is Pair of Deuces. Last year, he equaled the track record in the 1 3/16 Nebraska Racing Hall of Fame Stakes. This year, he's in for the Cornhusker Handicap. Probably will stay around to defend his title in the Racing Hall of Fame Stakes later. But Pair of Deuces is a top-quality horse, and he, too, will be an important member of the field. There are a number of other shippers from Chicago, and we also expect to see Plaza Star, the good Nebraska horse, making his first try at a distance of ground and trying to emulate his performance last year when he was just barely edged by Racusin in the 82 Cornhusker. In all, the Cornhusker Handicap will be truly the premier offering of the 1983 season. And just yesterday afternoon, Ak-sar-ben officials announced that because Bersid, who will be the first filly or mare to run against the colts in the Cornhusker Handicap, will be in the field, therefore all ladies will be admitted free to the grandstand on Saturday afternoon. It ought to be a memorable day.
Of course, the Cornhusker Handicap this Saturday here at Ak-sar-ben, but Terry, more good races in the coming weeks.
Well, the two-year-old championships are about to be decided the following 2 Saturdays after the Cornhusker. We will first see the lady sponsor stakes for the top 2-year-old fillies, and then the juvenile stakes for 2-year-old colts and geldings. Look for a lot of shippers as we nominate and finally crown the top 2-year-olds of the season.
And we'll see you back here Sunday, August 14th, our final show of the season. I'm Bob Cullinan.
I'm Terry Wallace. Good night from Ak-sar-ben 83, The Great Races.
Ak-sar-ben 83, The Great Races, has been brought to you in part by Brandeis Food Management, Hull & Smith Horse Vans, and by House of Genji, House of Cafe. Travel considerations provided by Ak-sar-ben. This has been a KETV sports presentation.
ESPN program is the Ak-sar-ben Oaks this weekend. 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and a furlong. Several good shippers into Ak-sar-ben for this race. Also some good local fillies. Here is the call now of the Ak-sar-ben Oaks.
They're moving on to the final turn, and still Brindy is the leader. My Dear Lady running second. 6 furlongs a minute, 12 1/5 seconds. Here comes Halo Dottie moving up third. Holiday Dancer to the outside fourth. Magola is fifth, followed by Glory Spell as they near the head of the stretch. The leader is Brindy. Here comes Halo Dottie moving up second. Holiday Dancer to the outside is third, and My Dear Lady is on the rail fourth. Glory Spell is fifth as they turn into the lane. That's Brindy with the lead. Halo Dottie second. On the outside comes Holiday Dancer. With a furlong to go, it's Halo Dottie and Brindy heads apart for the lead. Holiday Dancer is third. Driving for the wire, that's Brindy with the lead. Halo Dottie second. Brindy and Halo Dottie at the wire. At the wire, Brindy will win it by a length and a half.
And that's how the finish looked. Brindy, followed by Halo Dottie and Holiday Dancer. There was a 6-minute inquiry, but the stewards upheld the order of finish. But during the week, people connected to Halo Dottie protested to the Nebraska Racing Commission that Brindy bore out on the final turn and should have been disqualified. The commission has not ruled, but they did order that the purse not be distributed pending the outcome of the investigation. But Brindy, trained by Jack Van Berg, so far at least, the winner of the Ak-sar-ben Oaks. At Monmouth